You have also written about AI in urban development. So, can you explain how AI can be applied to space architecture or in urban development?
In urban development context? Yeah, sure. So, see, there are several ways in which AI can be like, since AI is the most booming thing out there right now. So, if you look at the industry, they're almost in everything like AI have come up. Today, even I saw one AI which actually can code for you to develop an application, a mobile app. So, how crazy it can be, right? So, anyway. So I worked on the project for like a project which was about looking into the aspects where AI can be applied in urban development. So so there are a lot of ways like looking at the city as a whole into the looking into the sensors which the city captures throughout in the camera through the cameras or through the chemical sensors out there in the sewage. So there are several types of sensors throughout the city which can give out some kind of data which you can utilize to predict data and also analyze the overall city structure, city health, and everything. But when it comes to the space architectural concepts, space architectural space, there are a lot of things that you can do, such as the design of house and everything, like how you optimize the space, how you design the home. So in that aspect, some AIs can be used, which are currently being used in this earthly context. And you can, with the AI you can actually optimize those habitats in terms of mass power to get the best possible result. So that is one of the aspects. So other aspects can be use of humanoid robots, which you can use it for construction. Even interestingly, one of my friend in the lunar architecture research group at Adelaide is actually working on how human and robot can collaborate to construct a house on the moon. Okay, and it uses several technologies like XR, which is also the extended reality, and it and humanoids in future cases maybe. So there are a lot of scope where AI is being part of the space architecture. And not only in just construction, it's about design, it's about maintenance. In terms of maintenance, in terms of applying AI in ECLSS, you can imagine how crazy it can be. Like when the resources deplete, AI actually can predict what material or what resources it can use to fulfill that depletion. So those are the areas or the gray areas where development are still needed, but AI is being developed very rapidly. And with the increase of computational power, it will be very easy for us at a point to actually develop or construct buildings beyond Earth. Even there are technologies for 3D printing. So in 3D printing, you can deploy AI as an agent to check that how much the construction is done, or what is the point of failure, if there is any point of failure that can happen on the lunar surface. So, and also one of the most important AI application that is being used is actually find out water on moon. So there is so you can apply these sensors on the satellite that revolves around the moon to map the lunar surface, and then using the AI you can find the shaded regions which can contain water or which have water. So those are the very critical areas where AI can be used. So another one of my research that will be coming up in a book is about finding the habitable regions on moon. So it actually captures what are the parameters in which the habitable regions habitability can be determined for a person that or a mission that wants to be on the moon. And then it actually overlaps every data to find the most habitable space that is appropriate for a particular mission. So that is one of the technology I worked in the past 2 years ago around, but it will be published in about 1 month. So though these are some of the very interesting concepts in which the AI can be used, but also there are some things called, there are called some things called swarm robotics. Swarm robotics is actually a swarm of robotics like drones, like how China actually projects drone in the sky. So it is a swarm technology. So a lot of robots that actually can collaborate together to form a structure. So in space architecture, these concepts can also come in. So which essentially uses AI at its core. So the potential is high. There are things called agent AI. Agent AI is basically you give AI a task. To fulfill the task, AI again gives to other AI, small AI, which does the task for the AI. So actually, it's a thing, it's a step towards the general AI thing, like a general intelligence, towards a path towards general intelligence. So the potential is very high, the applications are very high, and with, as we are discussing about the quantum computers, the computation power is very high. So it's just a matter of time that we will be utilizing AI at its full potential, and not only on just earth, it will be for beyond earth as well.
So, recently we have like the use of AI has become a thing for public. Like anyone can access AI and use them.
Yes.
So, with the experience of past few years, we can all say that AI sometimes can hallucinate information. So, in that context, like. Do you take any measures like to prevent that, or take the data by yourselves to eliminate such information that are kind of nonsense generated by AI?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a very big challenge of the AI that it is like that you cannot really predict the data. When AI is predicting, you cannot really predict the data. So there is essentially a requirement for a person to actually look into the data, like what data it is being fed. So one of the first is that what data it is being trained on. Either it is biased or it's not biased. So with the chat GPT like things, you can see that there are some components of biasness towards any other thing, or there are censorship issues. So those are the some things that needs to be checked before deploying AI. And also there should be a parameter where you can actually override AI. You don't cannot be completely dependent on AI at any level right now. But there are a lot of things that, so these are some of the things that can be done for the AI stuff. But as you said, like there is a hallucination component. That is why like AI cannot be fully dependent. Like you cannot fully dependent on the particular system. So there are still some gray area. Till the point we actually cannot see, like right now we call AI as a black box. Why it's a black box? Because we cannot understand what it's going on inside to generate the data. So till the point we go inside AI and find that what are the connection or the neural points it is sticking to find the data, and actually controlling the output of the data. So that is the point we will not like the I think like the space industry will not trust AI at its full potential till the point that is happening. So that is a part where researches are going on, specific researches are going on in this part of understanding AI. So yeah, so these are some of the challenges. But yeah, since I said that potential is very high, but still there are a lot of work that needs to be done in understanding and applying AI at its best.
Yes. So coming to that, uh, there are many countries that are currently actively developing their own AI and AI models
Mm-hmm.
and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and coming up with new technologies to work with the
Mm-hmm.
to incorporate in the
Mm-hmm.
space industry. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, what role do you think India can play in space architecture and advancements in
Mm-hmm.
future?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so see, if you see the recent developments of India in terms of space, it have gone high. Like if you see for the past decade, the number of satellites being launched from India, it's very high. Then from the any previous time, we have seen a record amount of space startups being started in India. And if you see that budget, the Indian government have given a lot, like I think 10,000 crores or something like that for these startups to actually flourish in India for the space startups. So there is a budget from India which is dedicated to the space startups. So that's a very huge, massive step towards promoting the private startups to come and develop the space industry. And being said that ISRO have also opened up for its collaboration with private partnership with the InSpace, the company is called InSpace. So, so that is how the government space agency have connected to the private players out there. So that creates a whole ecosystem where businessmen, students, and the government space agency come together to develop space. So that opens a huge front for the Indian space research organization to flourish. Okay, so that is a point where the India have started. But speaking of the space architecture, there are a few like companies that are working in the field of space architecture. One of the company is like Akash Space Studio, which I was part of when back in 2021 or 2022, a long time back. And it is one of the first space architecture firm in India and also of Canada. And like I think it have also developed it's called, I don't remember the name, but it's a analog habitat for the astronaut to test in Ladakh. So that is also a very interesting development that have came from the Indian space architecture company, like a research bed, building a research bed for the future astronauts to train and actually develop their skill set. And that research can also be utilized by the other researchers who are working in terms of psychology or in terms of biology to use those bases. So in America and Brazil and also in some European countries, there are similar analog habitats are there where people go and do their research. So that is so this new analog research center in Ladakh is something very promising and is opening the door for the Indians to actually do their research in space architecture in a much proper way. And see, and there are also other things that goes in the industry as the industry is actually booming. Is that uh, like as I said you about the space architecture company, I think space tourism company is also another big thing that is happening right now in India. So we are looking forward to that as well, like some orbital structures and suborbital structures. So those are the areas where the space development is happening, and like a lot of people are developed. And one of my vision is actually to see a space architecture institute being developed in India, so that where students, business, and the private startups can actually thrive all together, where the every innovative ideas comes together in a single place, and it can develop the and it can shape the future of the Indian space research organization. And recently I found that ISRO have declared that they want to build the Bharatiya Antariksh Station, which is the space station of India, I think by 2035 or 2030. And then it is planning to have the first Indian landed on moon using the indigenous rockets. So that's a very massive step, the very massive vision for the Indian Space Research Organization to have. Like there are huge budgets being allocated for these, and how Indian space industry is growing is huge. The potential is quite huge. The investment is very huge. There is a support from government, and the reason for the India should actually focus on space. The reason being, if you spend 1 rupees for a space industry, you actually get back 3 to 4 rupees in return. So that's a massive return on investment that you can get from space. So, and like even like as the if you see the history of ISRO, so you can see there is a focus on development of indigenous rocket launchers, like the launch systems being developed indigenously. So now it have came to a point where it can actually take the private companies and the other space agencies satellites to the orbit. So that is where you can see that the it have a potential to actually earn and actually contribute significantly in the GDP of India. So that's the whole industry all about.
Yes, in the previous episodes of this specific podcast, we had Dr. T.N. Suresh Kumar. He is
Mm-hmm.
an is ex ISRO scientist. He used to develop the
Mm-hmm.
power systems in the I think navigation satellites of ISRO.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
during that interaction, I made a request, a specific request, like India lacks an X-ray telescope that
Mm-hmm.
not only India,
Mm-hmm.
like the entire world. We have Hubble Space Telescope for optical and ultraviolet. We have
Yes.
Euclid and James Webb for infrared, and
Yes.
then we have Chandra for X-ray.
Mm.
And all of
Mm-hmm.
these are either from NASA or European Space Agency, or
Mm-hmm.
a collaboration project of both. But
Mm-hmm.
the problem is that the Chandra is going to get decommissioned in,
Yes.
I think,
Soon.
2 years or so. So
Mm-hmm.
I made a request that ISRO should come up with a plan to uh,
Mm-hmm.
make its own, like a native X-ray satellite. Then we X-ray
Mm-hmm.
telescope. Then we wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have to rely on other space
Mm-hmm.
agencies to get X-ray data. So he said
Mm-hmm.
he would consider it and pass on the message. So I don't know,
That's awesome.
it would
Yeah.
be a great thing to see that that project coming into life, like seeing
Yes.
India's
Yes.
own X-ray telescope.
Yes. Yes. I think there are some projects as well. Like I saw a proposal which actually said about construction of a X-ray telescope on the lunar crater at the far side of the moon. So on the lunar crater, they plan to pull a like a polyethylene kind of stuff so that it looks like a X-ray, and it projects like it gathers the light from the outer space to the inside and then transfer it back to. So it's a very interesting thing that I looked into a long time back. So yeah, like I hope that ISRO have their own satellite, because it's a great place for all the other disciplines to consider. Like whenever we are thinking of building on moon, or let's say on Mars, we need the data of the elevation, we need the data of the condition of the lunar surface. So the much detail we get, the much better we design and much better we can plan actually. So it's a great thing.
So talking about the future, I think
Mm-hmm.
we come to the last question of this episode, that
Uh-huh.
if we were to establish a permanent human settlement in space in near future, maybe in
Mm-hmm.
2050s or 2100s or in some distant future, what would it
Mm-hmm.
look like in your vision? Like, what is your vision for the future?
Mm. I think that it's not very far, like 2050, to be there on moon or establish a permanent lunar settlement. I feel by 2030, our the lunar gateway station, which is being designed by NASA, which is a station, a space station which will orbit the moon, will be ready by 2030. or let's say 35. When it goes forward, it will be maximum 35, and by 35, when it would be ready, it would be much easier to access moon, so lunar surface. So the rockets from that go up and through to go to more of the exploration site, and also enable construction easily on the moon. So by 2050, I feel that we will have a lunar, like a permanent lunar settlement out there. So the future is actually it's actually Mars, so for a very long time we are thinking of becoming the multi-planetary species. So when I'm imagining that we're looking into the Martian context, so even for every space agencies out there, we are developing the technology on moon as a test bed for our mission to Mars actually. So we will test every equipment, everything on moon first, and then we will consider it ready for the Martian mission. So yes, Mars is the future. There would be people on Mars, and soon we might see a Martian generation by the time we die. We will see the Martian generations being born. That's the whole thing. Yes, another, like, not going too much into the fiction stuff. I think the space tourism is currently the one of the hot topic these days. So space tourism will definitely increase in its own terms, in terms of, let's say, going to accessing space or passing carbon line. I hope to see like more and more people can pass carbon line to actually feel the essence of space. So there is a psychological induction that happens when you pass the carbon line, is actually see the earth from space. When you see the earth from space, you can understand how little are we, like we are just the blink in the whole universe. So that's the thing you experience. So that's the most beautiful thing, is explained by everyone. Like, and yes, I also feel that same feeling when I actually travel in aeroplane, so when it's being sunset or sunrise, when I am above the every other clouds, you can actually see the age of the earth, and it's just feels so amazing, like how beautiful it is. You become more like, you change as a person when you see that thing. Anyway, coming back to the topic, I feel like more people should pass the carbon line and feel the essence of space, go into orbital trips, maybe with their children, and also like maybe plan their honeymoon, something like that. And yeah, and yeah, like there are several other concepts as well, like space elevators and the centrifugal space stations, like which are also on the line by the some private space companies as well. So private players making more of the cislunar space area of development. And also another big challenge I feel would be about the resources, how resources on moon would be utilized. Like whoever comes first cannot actually take the whole moon, right? So it's not actually very legal thing to do. So there would be a space economy being set up, which will essentially look into the economy that is being generated by the space industry. So it would be an independent domain that people will love to invest in, because it will have a lot of scope and stuff. And with the space economy being set up, there would be also a thing for the mining of asteroids and mining of lunar surface. So lunar surface have a lot of silicon and other things which are rare earth material on the earth. So mining on moon would be a future. I feel it would be a future, unless there is any huge amount of sanction or any kind of big backlash any scientist look into. I don't know about that. But anyway, I feel that the future holds inside the lunar mining, and we will see our tech to develop a much better and much more. We might have our data centers shift from earth to moon so that it stays always cool. So like the data centers, right, it requires a high amount of heat, like it produces a high amount of heat and requires cooling. So if we just place
Yes.
those in the far side of the moon, like it's become easier. Anyway, like it's not, maybe it's not feasible right now, but in the near future definitely would be. Or maybe we are colonizing the whole moon someday. Anyway, so like looking at the high hopes also, and we should also understand that human safety should be our first challenge. Like humans should be safe at any cost when we are putting them in space. There should be autonomous hospital that must be going on in the space, like which I am looking into right now. So that astronauts, if they get ill, they should get treatment immediately. And also those hospitals, like whatever we develop in space, actually have impact in our present life, you know. So I remember a story, a beautiful story I heard from an astronaut. So it's about in 1970s. um, Astronaut comes home and tells his wife that I'm working on a technology where you can just put some food inside a oven, and it just like with the electricity it just cooks you the food and you just get it in few minutes. It's just a kind of magic. So his wife said that, are you mad or crazy or something like that? You were daydreaming. Right, in 1970s when the fridge was also not even there. So, but later that technology is actually the microwave technology. So due to the development of space, some technology that came Earth and revolutionized it. Some of the other technologies include like microchips, computing, and other stuffs are also there. So yes, these are some of the things we should consider, that like whenever we are developing for space, it is not essentially something that is waste of money or something like that, but it have a larger impact in terms when you look into this context, that what it brings back to the earth. So also, like the resource mining is also there, and the technological developments are also on the other side. And I feel that there should be proper space education that should be going on in India, like a much serious and a much like a larger pace, so that every student can have the access to space, also understand that what the potential it holds. And like soon I hope there would be astronaut training facilities in India. I think some works are being done regarding that. But with the astronaut training facilities, more and more Indians would be in space in the future, lunar and also the space station missions, so that the construction happens. Yeah, there are a lot of high hopes and a lot of potentials out there, and let's hope for the best. And yeah, that's it.
Yes, the Gaganyaan mission that is set to take astronauts into space is set to launch this year only. So yeah, India is going
Yes.
to taking humans to space this year, and that would definitely mean that you know one more step towards building this
Hmm.
astronaut training centers in India. Like,
Yes.
uh, if we have more people going to space, then yeah, definitely we would need our own facilities to train them.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, we
And
also need for other people to also train, like it is not just about our people. We also want
yes,
to get collaboration with other countries who wants to go into space, like let's say Saudi Arab Space Agency, or like, because I think like Saudi Arab Space Agency also recently launched their satellite with Indian satellite, or even Australian space agencies, or there are some other space agencies who actually want to go into space, but they don't have the necessary infrastructure. So India can actually play the pivot role in the whole industry and can be a game changer, because India have the talent of the people and the necessary government support for the development of space.
yes. And that brings us to the end of this fascinating conversation with
Mhm.
architect Shoktik Bhattacharjee. Huge thank you to our guest for sharing his insights, and to all of you for tuning in into this episode of Science Verse Expert Panel podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our previous episodes. And until next time, keep looking up and stay curious. See you in the next episode.